What is up, everyone? Welcome to Reality Room Podcast with Paul,
And Dave.
going over Celebrity Big Brother episodes 7, at least a little bit, and 8, which aired tonight. Okay, so we'll spend like a few minutes on 7, just only because we didn't shoot an episode on it a few
Last
days ago,
Friday.
and then we'll
Yeah.
jump right into the actual episode. So yeah, 7. We had Shannon and James be put on the block. Shannon cried about it for a while. She said she wasn't going to fight, which was like, okay, well, it doesn't really seem like a Shannon move not to fight. What was your thoughts on that?
She was we already knew she was kind of torn, like not torn, but just defeated at this point because it's true. She's been battling like the entire time. She's been playing the game harder than anybody here. So now the fact that she's playing so hard is what got her out of the game. I could see why she just felt defeated at that point. There was no hope.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And by the way, if anyone's in the chat and you want to talk down below, have any questions for us or any comments about the episodes, let us know down below. Thanks. All right, so yeah, I don't know. I thought it was bizarre for her. It looks like she changed her tune later though, so I guess it's okay.
Yeah,
The only other really
it was bizarre, but I mean, like it was just a natural progression. It's just like there's only so much you could fight. I mean, I wanted to see her go down fighting, but she couldn't do anything beyond that. Once she lost the veto to James, that was it.
Well, I mean, I've seen I've seen bigger flips in Big Brother history before, but
Oh, absolutely. But
I
in this
digress.
scenario, there was. I agree, but in this time around, it just wasn't going to happen.
I'm not sure I buy that completely. But anyway, let's jump into the only other really surprising part of that episode, which was them kind of striking a deal with James for a final 5 that neither side really wanted.
It was just, yeah. I didn't even consider that, honestly, just because, like, it wasn't realistic. It wasn't going to last. It didn't last.
Yeah, it didn't. I thought it was. I mean, like, why even show it? Well, I know why they show it, and it's been referenced a few times in episode 8 too. And they're like, "Oh, is this still a thing?" But no one
It
took
wasn't a
that
thing. It
seriously.
wasn't ever a thing. It was just like, hey, you have the veto. We're just going to say something just so maybe you don't target us later in the game.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Let's talk about this veto competition because that was a fun veto, I think. The so they walk into, so it was like a food thing basically. They had to walk in and they had like pea soup squirted on their face. They had to like traverse through honey, all in the dark. It was very, very fun. What was your thoughts on everyone's performance there? Were you surprised by some people?
Mm, not really. I mean, again, I expected either James or Shannon to win it just because like they're the two strongest competitors. So I would have just been surprised if one of the two of them didn't get it, to be honest. And James won the veto, so wasn't surprised. I was just like, I looked at the veto competition like, I want to try this.
Yeah, I thought so too. Then I saw like people's pants falling off and stuff, and I was like, would I really want to try this? Like, I don't want to lose my clothes or like my shoes and stuff.
I don't care. I'd still try it.
All right, well, fair enough.
I
Fair
have more
enough.
clothes.
I was surprised by how well Ross did, and I was also surprised that Amoroso was trying to throw it.
I can see why Amoroso was trying to throw it just because she just wanted to let things play out. That's how I felt. Like she's like, I'm safe. I don't need to get involved here.
Yeah, that's true. I
'Cause
mean, she's basically getting what she wants out of this anyway. Speaking of Amoroso, she seemed to be very happy about the Shannon move. And she had like a little confrontation with James, which kind of facilitated that 5-person deal between James and Ross and Brandy and Marissa and Ari. What were your thoughts on Amoroso kind of like warning James?
It's just another one of her. I'm trying to have a little bit of something with everybody to survive type of thing. Like this isn't a new play for her. It's something that she's been doing the whole game. I think. I mean, particularly in this episode, I think her doing things like that has shown that it's paying off. Because like you just have her. She's got a safe. She's got a little bit of a safety net for everybody. At least right now, especially.
Yeah, it really looks like she has a deal going on with just about everyone, and it's good for her game for now. But she does have it looks like she does have loyalties as of episode 8, but those might not be there forever. Based on
We'll
some
get
new
there in a sec.
information, which
Yeah.
I'll probably go over in a live feed video. But anyway, uh, yeah. So James wins the veto, and very fun stuff, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm happy that he won. Shannon got second place, obviously. like you just said, it's obviously them two always going to be top two.
Yeah, pretty much. That's literally what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was rooting for Shannon, but then it would have went at the cost of James. I mean, once both of them got nominated, it was like one or the other was going to leave.
So then we kind of so let's just get to the vote, and we kind of had a very surprising voting situation because everyone voted to evict Shannon except for Brandy, who voted to evict Mark. What was your thoughts?
My initial thought of it is something that is a strategy that I personally like, which again, episode 8 announced what I thought about it, was I thought she was just trying to plant that one vote there to frame somebody else. Just be like, hey, someone's not voting with us. Who can't we trust? You know? I like when players do that, like when they cast the rogue votes. We saw that with Kevin a lot in 19, and I enjoyed him doing that. But this time around, the results and the reasoning behind it, which we saw in episode 8, just completely made me think, wow, okay, so Brandy's move was as smart as I thought it was.
I see Trop13 is in the chat. Hey, Trop13, how you doing? Good to see you.
Hey, Trop. But yeah, I mean, that was basically that's my opinion on it. Like, were your opinions about the same? Like, maybe she was trying to do a rogue vote just to like cause some chaos.
Honestly, I think rogue votes are like if I was in the house, I would not take any rogue votes seriously because I know like the point of them is just to cause chaos, and I think it's just useless, really. Although Brandy's reasoning for it, which I guess we'll jump into episode 8 now. So Shannon's voted out. Mark gives a funny speech, a very, very long, funny speech.
I loved Mark's speech. Just like in the end, like guys, ask yourself a serious question: who's gonna do the dishes and towels tomorrow? And it sounded more like he's volunteering himself, not like, hey, this is something that I regularly do. Like, hey, if you keep me in, I'm going to do this stuff tomorrow.
Well, maybe he already does it. Who knows?
Maybe
So yes, I think he does. I mean,
it would shock me. I don't know. Just like the way he said it, I feel like he probably has taken his turn, but he's like, hey, I'm going to take the initiative again tomorrow.
Hey, good for you, Mark. Good for you.
But then it made me realize, like, I don't know why, something that just went over my head. The fact that they keep on saying doing dishes, I think CBS purposely never put a dishwasher in there just for that.
Probably.
Or is there a dishwasher?
Huh?
There's no dishwashing machine in there, right? It's just like
I don't think there is. I mean, if I had to guess, it's probably because they'd have to fix it every like couple of days because it would be overpacked. But anyway, so yeah, Shannon leaves, and we jump into the Stage HOH competition. Where it's an endurance comp. They're sitting down. So into episode 8 now. 10 minutes in. Woo, we did it. All right. So,
woo.
This was an interesting episode overall. We
yeah.
learned
stuff actually happened.
Sure, yeah. We learned during the HOH competition that Brandy tells Ari that she was the one that voted Mark out. And Ari's like confused during the HOH comp. She's like, why the hell would Brandy do that? I don't understand. We got to keep it like a secret. Ari ends up telling Meta and Ross, who were the first two to drop, making them on slop. We also have Mark dropping a little bit after because his balls were hurting. Stuff.
And Brandy just kept on saying, I don't think that's normal.
Brandy's like, if I had balls, I'd have a balls of steel or something. I was like, all right, Brandy, calm down.
I don't know. I found her remarks kind of funny. I don't know. I just found it entertaining.
They were very serious comments. Maybe she's right. Who knows?
Maybe.
Anyway, I mean, Brandy did have the balls to vote Mark out.
That is true. She did. She did have the balls to do that.
that takes balls, Brandy. Good for you.
Yeah.
Anyway, so back to the HOH competition. everyone seemed to be struggling with this. Omarosa mostly looked solid the entire time. I believe the first person dropped after 30 minutes, which was
Yeah, it was Meta. I think he was at like 32 minutes exact or something.
yeah, and Ross shortly after, and then Mark about an hour in, maybe.
So just to note, the three of them are on slot for the next 48 hours.
And Marissa dropped a few minutes after Mark did, maybe like I think at like an hour and 5 or something like that.
About. I mean, the whole competition lasted about an hour and a half.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Definitely sounds about right. So then we have Brandy battling it out with James and Omarosa, and everyone kind of seems to understand that the target this week was supposed to be Omarosa. That's what everyone in the diary room is saying.
Yeah, they said like it was supposed to be Omarosa, but I mean, it also it wouldn't shock me if it was yet again James as well. Like I think it would have been him and Omarosa on the block again.
Or Mark.
I don't know. I feel like they would have did a James Omarosa thing, maybe. But it's not like it matters now.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter now, I guess.
Yeah,
so Brandy dropped.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And she basically, and as she falls, so does her alliance, as they say.
Yep. So at this point, literally, Ross even said that he's rooting for anyone who's not Omarosa to win. Of course, that's not necessary. His hope doesn't come true because James and Omarosa strike a deal. Omarosa says to James, like, I won't put you up on the block and I will not backdoor you. You have my word, honest on God. So James kind of has to, make his witty, sarcastic remarks. Oh, wow, honest on God, all that type of stuff. But anyway, he asks, how long does the deal expire? Omarosa does a 10-second countdown. James jumps off. Omarosa comes up to him saying, yet again, you have my word. And Omarosa seems to be, she even said out loud and everybody else heard her, I have other targets before you.
Absolutely. And you find out a little bit on the feeds after that James kind of has like, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but he has some sort of condition or whatever that kind of made it even more painful for him to do this competition. I'm not exactly sure what it is at all, but some people were referencing it in the house, and they were saying that James doesn't like to talk about it, but he says that was making it extra hard for him during this HOH competition.
Well, good on him not being like Raven.
Yeah, good on him. So what happens after this HOH competition, Dave?
Pretty much. Well, one of the things I want to note is like going into the DR, Ari's a little more paranoid again because Omarosa won. Actually, let's just put it this way: her entire alliance is paranoid with them winning, and the next thing that has to happen is everyone has to confront Brandy about her rogue vote and turn it into a much bigger deal. Brandy basically reveals that the rogue vote is because she felt bad for Shannon. Brandy's defense was this was all in the moment. She didn't want Shannon to like go out completely shut out, and she also just wanted to just do it in general. So her entire alliance is like, hey, this isn't cool. We can't trust you. Ari in particular doesn't. It's funny because Ari's like, I don't trust you, and Brandy's over there saying that in the DR, I have to win this for me and Ari.
Yeah, I know. It is a little ironic. But those little things really do affect the trust in the house, because if everyone agrees on doing a vote, you should. And I was saying this in my live feed video too. If you don't tell your alliance, listen, I'm just going to throw her a sympathy vote. It doesn't really mean anything. Then the alliance could have maybe talked her out of it, or they could have said, okay, that's fine with us. It would have been like, you have our permission. Like it's not the fact that she did it; it's how she did it. Like it was so on the cuff, and I mean off the cuff.
Yeah,
off the cuff.
I get it. I mean, personally, I feel like the alliance is. I understand how like the trust can be a little bit affected, but I think they're overreacting, in my opinion. It's like just get over it. Like Brandy is being completely honest about why she did it. It's not anything against you. It's the one nice thing that she said she wanted to do. So just get over it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I get it. I mean, I do think the conversation had to have been had, though.
Oh, absolutely.
And then being upset was warranted.
I agree, but then at that point, Brandy's just crying about it, and then they all go over to Brandy, and they're like, "Hey, everything's okay." But Ari, Ross, and Marissa already said we're just using her for the numbers at this point. So essentially, Brandy is pretty much just thrown out. She's just a number now. She's not part of the alliance, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with that assessment. I think she is still part of the alliance. I still think she and Ari are
She'll be
close.
oh, absolutely. I mean, like, yeah, but I feel like if anyone's going to target them, they're going to cut her loose the first one.
Yeah, well, they're going to try to. I mean, that's the plan this week. I think that they prefer Brandy gone over Ross. I think.
Yeah, pretty much. Because at that rate, I mean, I prefer Brandy to stay just because she did something against the alliance, and that's just personal opinion.
Yeah, I see Patty's in the chat. Hey, Patty, how you doing? So let's talk a little bit about Omarosa and kind of like her thought process. So they have Ari go up, and like Omarosa's like, well, first off, James immediately predicts in the bathroom with Marissa and I think Ari that it was Brandy that threw the vote like that, and everyone's like, whoa, shit, he figured that out really quickly. I'm changing my votes for the 2 to come down because James is screwing over Omarosa. Yeah, well, we'll talk about that at the end. So
okay, but yeah, no, like James predicted it fast. I mean, because I feel like James predicted it fast because he knows that Brandy's always like the one who's more willing to do wild card stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And in general, but what Omarosa wanted to know first was her first question was who cast that rogue vote.
Right, and Ari lied immediately.
Yeah, Ari lied, and then Brandy just came up and just stepped up because again, Brandy's mentality is still I have to protect me and Ari. So it seems a little, I don't know, but Omarosa wasn't happy about that. Even Omarosa was like, "You don't do that. It's just like against Big Brother code." Essentially, is how I felt Omarosa took it.
And then she used it to her advantage as an excuse to put her on the block, which to me makes a lot of sense. I thought one thing that was interesting this episode was that there was a lot of speculation about Omarosa putting Mark on the block next to Ross, and that never really seemed to even pop up in this episode. Like, do you remember them saying that at all?
Yeah, I remember like they were like a little bit worried about that, but that just completely got counteracted whenever she went to Mark and cut a deal with him saying, if you win the next HOH, you don't put me up, I'm not going to put you up. She said to Meta, she's like, hey, don't, like, that's the other thing that we saw. Omarosa's campaigning because she found out about there's going to be some sort of twist with the veto. They don't know what it is. The assumption is that they think that America's going to pick who plays. That's Marissa's assumption anyway, which I think is a fair assumption. But, yeah, she went to Meta saying, "Hey, get Ross out. He's my target. Follow through with this." Meta's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." Same thing with she went to James and said the same thing, but with Omarosa is that she was at least willing to bargain with James, which was essentially the same deal as Mark. Don't put me up. Let's take out this alliance first. Omarosa's thing was, "Hey, let's have a final four: me, you, Mark, and I believe Meta."
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where I'm like, this is a little weird because Meta and James, again, like everyone in the house is friendly towards each other, but game wise, Meta and James never clicked. So I think that's a weird alliance.
Meta doesn't know. Meta doesn't know about the alliance.
Fair. All right, you're right about that. As far as from what we saw,
Meta's in the alliance, but he doesn't know about it. And the reason why, and I was talking about this in my live feed video, the reason why they didn't tell Meta about the alliance is because he would blab about it to everybody.
That's true. Meta's got a big mouth.
So Meta's in a Final Four without being in a Final Four because it's Meta.
Well, he knows he's with Omarosa more or less, which I feel like no one would take that as a surprise.
Omarosa, Patty says Omarosa best bet is to take Brandy. She'd have Mark, James vote, Meta and Keisha and Shannon's vote. To take Brandy, she'd have Mark, James.
Yeah.
Yeah, Omarosa has every single jury vote right now. I
think if it was her and James, I think Shannon would vote for James.
Maybe. I don't think James is going to make it to the end.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. Unless you know something that's going on now. I haven't caught up on live feeds at the moment.
I do know something you don't know.
Ooh, boy.
Ooh, I can't say it. It's an episode video, not a live feed video. So yeah, so they had this four-person alliance thing, and really, it's a pretty decent alliance. I think the only real issue is, um,
Meta.
no, not even meta. I think Omarosa has the best chance of winning out of all of them. I think. And I think James has the second best chance of winning, and then Mark and Meta are kind of like even footing.
I agree with that.
So I can see Mark maybe wanting to jump ship at some point to someone that's maybe less likely to win. And Meta, I don't think Meta really cares who he
I
is at
also
the end when he gets
I
there.
also want to like mention this with the Omarosa and again in the DR. She brought up that Mark was a floater, and I find it kind of interesting that Mark is known by everyone as the floater, not just a floater. He's the floater in the house, and everyone seems to be okay with this.
Well, he's not necessarily a floater. He's a no, I guess he is.
Omarosa addressed him as a floater, and again the DR. And Mark has said in a couple episodes ago, I think almost a week ago, maybe today, Mark said, "I'm just going to keep floating because I don't need to win anything just yet."
You have coasters and you have floaters. I guess he is a floater because he's acknowledging his game as being that, and he's purposely throwing challenges. He threw almost every single challenge that he's been in so far, um, except the last HOH, which he wanted to win. But every single other one he's thrown. So yeah,
Yeah,
I guess he is definitely a floater. And no one really cares because he's not aligned with anybody, to their
yeah,
knowledge.
and he will openly go with whoever's in power.
He would,
And yeah, he
which
has, and everyone seems okay with it because, like, I feel like because of how short the game is and how many people are in the house, I feel like everyone just wants the numbers in the end.
well, that's the name
I
of the
mean,
game is
well, no,
numbers.
no, well, yeah, no, I get that, but I feel like, I guess because I've seen other times where like the floaters, they just want them out after a while.
Well,
Not
floaters
always.
are useful.
Oh,
Ty-
absolutely. Then we're seeing it with
Typically,
Mark.
typically floaters always usually align with like the people that are like on the bottom of an alliance, and they really turn the tables, and that's what usually happens in a season. That's what happened in 18, for instance. So well, a lot of seasons, but yeah, 18 is one example of that. But anyway, back to the game here. So yeah, Omarosa talks to Mark and James and very good conversations, talks to Meta, like you said. Um, and so we have the nominations. And Omarosa puts up Brandy and Ross, which Ross is the target for this week. Good move, I'd say. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think I'm more interested in what Patty would have to say because wasn't that Patty's pick to win? Was
Uh,
Ross?
yeah, but things change.
Yeah, things do change. I mean, again, it's just something that we'll have to see, like what happens with it. I mean, I prefer Brandy to stay, but I mean, we have this whole veto coming up, and Amaros is trying to prepare for like what's going further. Something
Yeah.
up in the chat.
No, just looking. Um,
Okay,
so yeah, I
I'd say
guess
that's about
go
where we
ahead.
are, really. No, I'm thinking. I'm like, I think that's about like where we are without getting into live feeds.
Yeah, let's think about what's best for everyone's game right now. I between Ross and Brandy. Ross has a good chance of winning. But he doesn't have but he also stabbed a lot of people in the back. So maybe he doesn't have a
Shannon walked out saying in the interview she's not voting for Ross or I believe Marissa anymore. Like she said, like neither of them have her vote.
I
I think
can't
she'll stick
see
with that.
I can't see Keisha voting for Shannon either. Unless she really I mean I can't
Keisha
see
Keisha
Keisha
wouldn't vote
voting.
for.
Keisha voting for Ross, I mean, not Shannon.
Yeah, no, I can't see that either. I think Keisha is one of the people who want to see a female win the game as well. So
Yeah, which Big Brother 18 all over again. Anyway,
yeah, Keisha would. Ross, not Ross. I'm sorry. Chuck said he would vote for probably Omarosa. He said that numerous times in his interview. You
yeah,
know,
and
with
so
his.
Omarosa has a really good shot, so they're probably going to want to go after Omarosa or sooner rather than later.
Yeah, but they don't. I don't think that they're thinking about the jury taking like voting for Omarosa. No one's addressed that, which at least from what I've seen.
they'd be stupid to think that she doesn't have the votes, because they should know that she at least has 2 votes, which
Yeah,
is
and
Chuck and Keisha. They don't know
I
about
also
Shannon, but
I also think it's something to keep in mind though. It's like you have these people that are out of the house now. They're all jury. I mean, I don't know how involved Chuck really is with jury, just because he wasn't there for too long compared to everybody else. But Shannon in particular, I'm sure Shannon's talking with Keisha, and like I'm sure like they're exchanging whatever notes they need to exchange.
yeah, and everything's available online too. So,
Yeah,
um,
so
re- in a game where the jury is at home, you actually have to play completely differently in regards to diary room sessions and how you act throughout the house. And Omarosa has adapted to that kind of gameplay. So she was very aggressive early on, and then when she learned, she learned she had to tone it down a little bit, and now she has toned it down. And I think the purpose for it is to appear to be more likable to the jury outside. And she also has had a good relationship with most of the jury members, or at least ended on a good note. So I think
yeah, I
Omarosa
don't
is playing the game the
even though
best.
even though her and Shannon battled it out a little bit, I feel like I feel like they never lost respect for each other as people at the very least.
Well,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't think so. I feel like Shannon would just like if Shannon had any disdain towards Omarosa, I feel like she would be like I feel like she would forgive her and they'd get along and just go based on game.
I mean, Omarosa said she didn't lose respect, but it could also just be part of her game. It's
That
tough to
could be. I
say.
mean, I don't know. I mean, everyone, again, from what I'm seeing, I'm being a little optimistic. Everyone seems like a pretty big sport with this. Like they all seem like they have like a sportsmanship like feel for this game.
Yeah,
I mean, we don't always
I
see that,
suppose.
so I enjoy that everyone's like separating game and friendship.
As someone who's pessimistic, well, not pessimistic, but realist by nature, I think I wouldn't be surprised if Omarosa was adjusting her behavior at all times in the house for the purpose of winning, because it makes sense, and she doesn't even have to tell people after the game that that's what she was doing.
That's true.
She can just know deep down in herself that, yeah, I was doing this, but she doesn't have to divulge that to anybody.
Fair enough. I mean, it wouldn't shock me in the end, but I mean, we'll find out if it pays off a week from today.
All right, so I guess we'll call it there. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe down below if you enjoy our content. Also, we have a Patreon, which we started a few weeks ago. The link is in the description below. If you donate $3 or more a month, we will personally shout out your name at the end of every single video. Speaking of shout outs, we want to give a shout out to Patty for supporting us and our channel. So thank you, Patty, so much. Dave, do you want to thank Patty too?
Of course, we always give a shout out to Patty, and like we said, $3 and more, you guys can get that same shout out too.
Hey, hey, hey. All right. Thumb this video up, guys, or thumb it down, whatever you want to do. Just thanks for watching. Until next time. Peace.